Hey everyone, welcome back to Tea with the Supremes. Julie here with Savannah, Cassandra, and Ebony.
Hello, ladies.
Hey.
I
All
had
right,
to give it a
Savannah,
shot. I had to give it
coming for me.
a
What is up from the sweltering south? Hello, everyone.
Ebony is sticking with us even though she is in a heat wave. She's sticking it out with us to be here with us this week. So today we're having a fun conversation and talking about hobbies.
Yeah,
So go ahead, Savannah.
I am kind of taking this off of our conversation last week about like postpartum depression and maternal depression. I kind of spoke to how I felt like I lost who I was and I wasn't sure outside of being a mother what I enjoyed. And I really asked myself, like, what do I enjoy? So I started looking up things to do around me, and also I'm very introverted. Well, I was. I still kind of am. I don't know. I'm like in the middle, but I started looking for things to do, and I wanted it to be something for me. I wanted to be kind of selfish, like everything I do, it's for my kids, for my family, and I enjoy it. I have hobbies that I do with my family, with my partner, but at that point in time, I had nothing that was for me 100%. So the first one I tried was running, and I got shin splints the first time. So I said, it's not for me. Never tried it again. Obviously, like school takes up so much of my time. It's definitely not a hobby. And I tried working out, and I did really, really good for a couple months. And then pandemic hit and all the gyms closed, and I had a mental breakdown. I started crying because I was like, I'm just starting to get into this habit. I just found my thing and now I can't do it. And it's like I tried to do it at home, but it's freaking impossible with kids running around. And it's just like not as motivating to do it at home. And so, it was a really hard couple of months. Like I felt like what I had just found for me was taken from me. And I ended up, once everything was reopening again, I started going to a different gym that I fell in love with because they weren't so money hungry. I started connecting with the people there, and I would go every single day at 6 a.m. I would go sometimes twice a day because it was my thing. It was something I enjoyed. I mentioned before, like I have a daycare, so I'm working with kids all the time. So leaving the house to have these adult interactions while doing something that I'm thoroughly enjoying, it was amazing time for me. I was going consistently, and guess what? Pandemic hit again. Gyms closed. This one time it wasn't so long, so it wasn't so bad. And we were able to get back in there. I don't remember what the time was, but it was nothing like the first shutdown of everything. And until recently, because I had a medical procedure done, like I was going every single day, and it's something I love. It's something I miss. It's something I can't wait to go back to. And it's something that has just become a part of me. And I feel like because I found something for me, I'm a better mother because it's somewhere where I'm taking out my frustrations, my whatever I have of the day. It's something where I can just focus on me, which allows me in return to come home and focus on being a good mother.
I love that. That's so awesome.
You said the gym is your place to release anger, and that same.
Yeah.
Like I'm the crazy ass in the gym with the big headphones on, listening to like metal music and just like in my own world. But that's like you, Savannah, I love working out. So that's just like my release and my time for me. And working out isn't for everybody. Love it. That's fine. But you just have to find like those things. Like mine is crafting and working out. Those are my two self-care things where I can step away from my real life and go just be in my own little bubble of happiness.
I had to like find something too that fit around my crazy schedule because there's not a lot of options, small town living for me to do and for me to do comfortably also. So it had to either be really early before work, and I knew that if it was something after work, I'd probably just not have the motivation to do it or just put it aside like this isn't important. But when it's first thing in the morning, it becomes a priority, spending time on myself, spending time on this hobby. It's the best time. And I'm still looking for things to try. Like I looked up like cooking stuff here, but I just like, I'm too shy. I'm not gonna do it.
It's so funny to hear you, Virtual Supremes. Everybody has been coming over their bug, and they gave it to me, and I was at home minding my business, and they gave it to me. So, but I think that's the beauty of self-care, because I'm not going to sit here and tell our virtual family that I want to get out here and work out. That's a lie. I don't enjoy it. It is a tedious, hard task for me to do, or however, rather, I think that's the beauty of self-care and finding your, as Cass would say, finding your jam, whatever your jam is. When you described it, Savannah, you made it sound like such a beautiful thing. For me, it's not. Let's be honest. I don't feel in tune with myself. And, oh, that's not true. Sometimes I really got to be in the groove of a good workout. I mean, finding that space to be with you, be present with you in your moment, whether it's God forsaken at 6 a.m. or if it's at 6 p.m. As I'm throwing in little digs to Savannah, I think you have to really find what works for you, especially when you related it to how you talked about when we were together last week about losing yourself in your pregnancy, in motherhood, in all the things that we are. So many of us, myself included, are guilty of that. We put so many other things, we prioritize so many other things above ourselves. And it's like, I'll give and I'll give and I'll give. And at some point you give and then there's nothing left to give, that you're empty. The reservoir is empty. Everything is empty. It's all dried up. So taking time to try things out. You figured out running wasn't your jam. Again, I already knew that for me, so I don't have to go and do that. But whatever it is, spending time with yourself to learn you is such a profound something. And if that's where you found it in working out, more power to you. Not my bag, but it's your bag and you found it. So I'm very excited for that and the journey to get there.
Thank you. I mean, something else I want to throw out too, it's not just like working out on my own, because if I just go to the gym by myself and do the machines, like I don't push myself. I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I'm going to go home now. But I participate in classes, and that's where, like how I said, I've spent so much time with kids. So it felt so good to make these connections with other adults who are also doing this for themselves, and they're there because they want to be there, or they're there because the instructor, like he doesn't yell, but he's very motivating. And like if I take like a couple seconds, Savannah, what are you doing? I'm like, oh shit, okay. And so I just found a really good connection with him, and so I decided to do personal training with him and like take it to another level and see how far I can push myself there. And it's just been a really great release, a really great place. It's something I definitely value and make a priority in my life. And I would love, how I said, to find other hobbies, but it's hard with our busy schedules. So baby steps. I don't need to go all in with all these different things at once, but I feel very thankful and excited that I found at least one thing that I thoroughly enjoy doing.
I love that. I'm like, my hobbies change, I think, depending on where I am. I mean, I love a lot of things. I remember when I was married, or right before I got married. I don't know, either way. My husband and I lived like when no one lived near us. So we didn't have family around or anything. So, and my husband and I worked opposite schedule. So I got like real heavy into scrapbooking, and I like loved it. There was this older woman that had like a scrapbooking show on like some weird channel, and I would watch her like I would DVR her, and I would watch all the episodes and try to make all this crazy stuff, and I got really good at it, and I was really invested. And I like crafting like Cass does, but now I don't think I can use it as a hobby as much as it is a hobby for me, like because I have kids and I don't have time or space. It ends up being more stressful than like relaxing for me because I have to take everything out and put everything back. So when I move, hopefully I'll have a better space and we'll be able to do that in a way that it's enjoyable all the time. So sometimes it's crafting, but when you were talking about going to the gym, I am not a workout person either. I don't mind doing stuff that exerts energy and exercise as long as it's not in a physical gym setting. I don't like the using machines repeatedly and stuff. I did for a long time did Zumba, which I loved. Like that I was all about, but I went with my mom. And then it was nice to like have someone there with me because I'm very introverted and it makes me super uncomfortable. If I go by myself, I would never go by myself. So then my mom wasn't able to continue going. So then I stopped going. But that was a lot of fun for me. But for me, I think now, like I like brain activities. So like brain games, like apps that like are just challenging. I like trying to problem solve things, which I know is not like everybody's cup of tea, but I like it really like when I have to figure things out and like the feeling of figuring out challenging things. I really like organizing. Like that's one thing that brings me so much joy, which I don't know is another thing a lot of people don't understand, but I'm here for it. And then yeah, like if I'm on vacation or something or time allows, like exploring, hiking, riding bikes. I like to do adventure stuff, that sort of stuff I love, but not an everyday. I would love to do it every day, but as Savannah said, reality of life with kids and everything else is not allowed for that. I think I probably do organizing the most because kids are messy. So it allows me the opportunity to organize quite a bit. But yeah, it is like what you were speaking to at the beginning. I was the same way for a very long time. That's actually what motivated me to go to school was like, I need something for me. And even though it's school and it's a ton of work and like it can be very stressful, I get so much joy out of it. I think more because of all of the extracurricular avenues we're in now. But I was like, I need to do something for me. Like all of my previous work history, I was very successful, but it wasn't necessarily what I wanted to be doing. And I do anything and everything for my kids and my family. And I was like, I don't have anything that I do just for me. So it is. I think that's a pitfall that most moms fall into. And it's hard to get out of, especially when you have no time. You become like the identity of your children and then you don't know where to go from there.
Ask me what hobbies I have that involve my kids, and I won't shut up. Like,
right? Unlimited. Unlimited. I agree.
So many things, but for me, I don't know.
When I lived one of the previous places I lived, I was able to, my son was really little, but our schedules allowed me to be on a beach volleyball team. And it was like a beer league and it was like the best. I loved it so much. I'd play every week. I'd have a night out with people from work. We'd drink and have fun. And I love volleyball. I was always better at softball, but volleyball is like the most fun to play. So I absolutely love that. And they're putting a beach volleyball court where I live. And I'm hoping that they start a league because I want to play so badly. And my son's probably big enough to play now. So I would really love to be able to do that with him. It'd be super fun.
See, once again, living in the backwoods, this is not what's happening. I think you made a great point about hobbies and how they evolve and how they change because what was interesting or beneficial for you at one time in your life may not be the same thing later on in life. Like I rag on, as I was joking with Savannah about and Cass about the workout life. When I work out with my trainer, who by the way, when she listens to this, will have some real shady things to say about everything that I said about working out, and she'll make me pay for each of those statements. So I love you, sis. But figuring out how you evolve and how things around you should evolve, I think that's a huge part of your mental health and your stability because nothing is stagnant, nothing stays the same, and anything that stays the same, it what's the word, it doesn't benefit you, right? But that's not the word I'm thinking of. As other areas of your life evolve, as goals evolve, your children evolve, all these things, all of these dynamics and relationships, what brings you enjoyment, what brings you fulfillment, what brings you peace, all the things that Savannah started this out with describing, they change. And we have to be able to say, hey, this worked for me before, maybe I need to reevaluate it or reassess it. You guys are in different stages of parenting. However, as I remember when I transitioned to, well, the semi empty nester, and I knew so much of my life and my day revolved around my son and all his activities. But the first year after he graduated high school, and I didn't have to go to anything, like, because he played football
And you didn't
and
have to check his schedule every 40
right,
seconds. Yeah.
like my travel schedule revolved around what season he was in. You know, when he played football, and then when he became and he transitioned, and then it was like his coach was 7 days a week, and I do mean 7 days a week. So it was off season, then you would go to two a days, and then summer practice, and then so all of those things, and I was like, dang, a lot of my life revolved around him. And then you figure out what to do with that space, and it changes. I was fitting things in here where I could, and this and this and this. I remember my days of doing Zumba, and all those old ladies was Zumbing all around me. They had me going all around the place. And I was like, I like Zumba, but these old ladies are running circles around me. So I'm gonna need to do better with my life. But I want to make sure that we know that it's okay to evolve. The stage of parenting that you're in versus the stage of parenting that I'm in, now my responsibility is shifting more to now taking care of parent, and that responsibility and putting those things in, and making sure that I've done all the things for my parents' home and then my home, and da 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 and da 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 da. So I think as we evolve, we have to remember that those hobbies and things that bring you pleasure, those things that bring you joy, they should evolve with you. They should grow with you. And it's okay for them to change. And what worked then, take that time, as Savannah was explaining, to reassess, because it may not work later.
One of the things I was thinking of too that someone pointed out, I might have read it on Facebook, to be honest, and I was like, that makes so much sense. Like, I have a Cricut, which, if you don't know what that is, it's like a fancy cutting machine, and you can do crazy stuff. You can make vinyl stickers, and you can do like a billion things with it. So I got one.
And interject and say, when you first said what a Cricut was, you didn't give that explanation when I had no idea what a Cricut was. You didn't give all of that explanation. Okay, virtual fam, she didn't do that. I had no idea. It's like, why is she talking about crickets? What does she want animals for? But they just left me in the dark. But go ahead, please.
Yes, because Cass has one as well. But yeah, so I got one of those, and you can make fancy invitations, all this stuff. The materials to make things is expensive. I really enjoy the process. You can make t-shirts, I like everything. The materials to make things are very expensive, and knowing like I have a family to provide for, and my kids are expensive and need things constantly, and I want to give them the best life possible, I was so focused on like, I can't make something unless I'm going to either make it for someone else or I need to sell this. And I invested so much energy, like focused on that I didn't get to enjoy it as much. And then someone pointed out, like, you don't have to have one just to make things to sell. Like, you can just make things for you. And I was like, I can just make things, because I was never making anything for me. And I was like, I can just use this to like put labels on things and like do whatever I want to do. And then I don't know, it just never clicked with me. I was like, I can do this
to organize your life, girl.
Yes, I was like, I can use it for me. And I don't know, it just hadn't clicked and I was gifted to me. I didn't buy it because it's an expensive machine. I wouldn't have done that. That's another thing I think that adds on to this conversation, as moms a lot of times don't spend the money on themselves that they spend on their children. So I would have never invested that money for a hobby for me. But yeah, when someone pointed that out, I was like, oh my goodness, I can't just do it just to do it, which was like mind blowing for me. And it shouldn't been, but it was.
And that's like the biggest thing about having such a creative mind, is that for me, I have all these ideas of things I want to do. And then when I don't do them, then I feel bad that I don't do them. But I've started to like shift that into like, I like making pretty things for the people I love. I like making pretty things for me, so just do it for you. And girl, I'm gonna get you that discount vinyl website. I get my sheets of vinyl for 48 cents a piece.
I love it. That's a good price.
First of all, Virtual Supremes, you don't even understand how excited those two are having this conversation, at least this moment in time in it. But I think, Jules, you made an amazing point that just resonated with me so deeply, because we mistake, or at least I can only say for me, I mistake guidelines and boundaries all the time, and or those things that I suggest myself in my head to do. And I do not give myself grace or permission to do those things for myself. And they become, instead of guidelines on how to move, they become boundaries, like these hard set drawn lines that I draw against myself, but I don't draw against other people. Virtual fam, Jules, she would be very happy on a Cricut just to make labels for all the stuff in the kids' room.
100%.
And she would be so happy to label all the things in her office, and that would bring her such joy. For me, it would drive me up a wall. It would be really cute, but it would drive me up a wall, because that's so much time for labels that I'm just going to tear off eventually, right? That's the way my head processes it. However, it makes sense to say, oh, I've made this, whatever, however you've gotten it, with the example of the Cricut. I have this investment in this machine, and if I'm not using it to add an additional stream of income, then I'm not using it properly. And we put these boundaries, we put these parameters around things and create these boundaries that lock us in to very specific spaces and leave us there. And the purpose of this is not just to say, hey, get out and find a hobby. The purpose of this is that you explore you, and you explore what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And this goes especially as women. We're women, so we bring this from that perspective. But as moms, as wives, as students, as sisters, as daughters, all of these boxes that we check off, we forget to check with ourselves and reflect and say, well, does this make me happy? Do I enjoy this? Does it bring me joy? Not how do I benefit someone else from this? Am I taking time to reflect on me and say, man, do I even like you? Do I want to have you as someone in my space? Do I want to do this thing? Is this something that brings me happiness? Is this something that brings me joy? Does this person bring me happiness? Does this activity, this relationship, it's the same process for each thing, each area, each person in your life. And as we go through so many levels of this mental health process, this journey to wellness that I like to call it, it takes you through so many different levels, and you start to question those hard lines that you have around yourself. I'm very big on the fix versus growth mindset. And where am I fixed at? Where am I locked at that I'm not growing, that there's no potential for evolving and elevation? So it's so imperative that you do that self-analysis and you self-check and say, dang, I really want to do this. I want to make these labels because it makes me happy. Cass is very happy making me a cup that I'm drinking out of right now. Thank you, Cass.
Yes, Cass makes these amazing tumblers. So she should shout out her Etsy store. And if she doesn't have one, she should make one because they are phenomenal. But
Etsy takes too much to
I am
narrow.
happy to just be the recipient of all of her crafts.
Yes. Ebony, you made me think of something. I forgot where I saw this or I heard it. Setting boundaries is a form of self-care. Let me say that again. Setting boundaries is we always come back to boundaries, but
one more time for the people in the back, Cass. Yeah.
Setting boundaries is a form of self-care. And if you don't know how to set boundaries for yourself and your comfort levels, and even with what your hobbies and what you love to do, if you're not setting those boundaries, if you're not setting that time aside to prioritize yourself, like Ebony was saying, like your reservoir, it's just going to keep going down and down until you burn out. I was talking to my mom yesterday, and y'all know I'm the mindfulness guru. And so like mindfulness is a form of my self-care, along with crafting, working out, everything else. But I try to do at least a 5-minute meditation every day, whether it be in the morning, whether it be before I go to bed, whether it be doing a minute of breathing at my desk. I try to do something to be mindful at least once a day. So my mom, we were talking and I went to go pick up my wedding dress and I got stuck in like an hour and a half and I was late for my appointment. My mom's like, are you anxious? Like, are you freaking out? I'm like, no, like, I'm good. And she's like, wow, that's very emotionally mature of you. And I think that's because I've been practicing mindfulness and I like was just like, it is what it is. I breathe through it. Like, it's okay. So like that little shift made me better when I knew I wouldn't be, and typically I wouldn't be good in that situation. So I was better able to handle my emotions. And I think that's what hobbies do. They give us that time to escape from the real world. So that way you can go out and like Ebony and Savannah and Julie, we're all saying, be a better mom, be a better sister, be a better brother. And that's not to say this is only for women. Men, you need to find your hobbies too. You need to do your self-care. I don't care if you think it's girly or whatever, do your self-care because it will do you so much good in the end.
Yeah, another piece on that is just, I mean, first of all, I'm here for the boundaries. That works in every situation. Like setting boundaries are so powerful. It really is. Just start doing it. It's just does so much. But as you were talking about men, it made me think of some hobbies, and your hobbies are for you, so no one else needs to understand them. Other people can think your hobbies are nonsense. Like my husband thinking enjoying organizing is like insane to him, makes no sense. And like he loves to watch Just for Laughs videos. I don't know if you've seen them. It's like out of Canada. They're on YouTube. They are like, they're silly, but like I think they're so dumb. He loves them and he can just watch them and like that's his cathartic whatever. And he really, that's like one of his hobbies. And I think it's bananas. But I get it because that's his thing. Like that's his downtime. That's one of the things that he does. And I forgot to mention this before, but we love to go to comedy shows because that's one thing we can go, like you just shut down, you just go and laugh, which is super cathartic and makes you feel amazing. And then you just get a little break with some nonsense. So your hobbies can be whatever it is for you. No one else has to understand it. Everyone can think it's weird. It doesn't matter. If it's like, how does it make you feel? And if it makes you feel good, again, do you. I always say, do you, do you.
It took me so many years to take an interest in finding something I enjoy. Like having my son in high school, I decided to take up cheerleading while I was in high school, and that became my thing. I loved it so much. And then I graduated and I stopped having something for me. It was work, school, motherhood for how many years now? It took me experiencing that like postpartum depression and really after my third kid to think like, who the hell am I? What do I like to do besides being a mom? Like I'm living my life only to be a mother. So it took, I don't know how many years from graduation to finding to after having my third kid for me to realize how important it was to find something for me.
I find that so interesting because it was the very same like transition for me. It was going through postpartum and just getting to a very like negative space and thinking like I do nothing but work and dedicate everything to my kids and I have nothing for me. And it was the same thing. And then I realized, and I feel so much better. I've struggled with depression my entire life, and I feel good most of the time because I make a concerted effort to do things for me. And I know we continue to talk about self-care, but it is so powerful. It makes you like just enjoy life more. And then you are able to give so much more. And people around you enjoy life more. It's so powerful.
It absolutely is very powerful. I think we have so many issues in our society today. We have so many issues surrounding mental health and a lot of that. And I'm not going to speak for every issue, that would be irresponsible, but a lot of that comes from the foundation of you and what you haven't done for you or what hasn't been done for you. You weren't taken care of. You haven't been taken care of. You've neglected self or you've been neglected. And a part of the purpose of this is that you figure out how to talk to you and have a conversation with what I like and what I don't like and what brings me joy and what brings me happiness. Jules was talking about her husband and watching the videos, and my son, and I have no idea why, he will watch the car detailing videos. Is this dude in, I don't think he's in Canada or something. And he will watch this guy.
Is it wrapping cars? Because I think that's so interesting. Or the oddly satisfied. Is that what it is? Vinyl
Yeah, I
wrapping? 'Cause
love watching those
I-
videos too.
I get it. I totally get it.
I mean, they're just cleaning. I don't know. They're literally just cleaning out the car. And I was like, son, if you want to see somebody clean out the car, you're more than welcome to take mine to the car wash and go clean it. But again, you don't I believe Jules said it, you don't have to justify what makes you happy. I'm not going to advocate for you to go out and do something that's going to cause harm to somebody or do something illegal. I'm just going to say, and I will leave this as my quote, do what makes you happy. Find that happy place. And I don't normally use the word happy because happy is very temporary. So learn what brings you joy. If it's running, if it's crafting, if it's watching videos, because in each of the Supremes, as they were sharing so eloquently, you find peace and you find joy, and it makes you a better you. It makes you a better friend. It makes you a better person. It makes you happier. And then that becomes contagious. So that joy is passed out, that love is passed out, and it's spread, and it makes you a better employee. Statistics show happier workplaces produce happier employees. All of these things that really come from that first step of just figuring out who you are and what you like, and learning to express that in your hobbies, in your interests, in your meditations. For me, it's prayer. Whatever it is, you make that, and it's so subjective. You make that subject to what you enjoy, and then it'll just automatically radiate through the world.
I love it. This is a fun conversation. I hope everyone enjoyed it. So as we're moving on with the conversation, or I guess wrapping up with the conversation, even though I feel like we could talk about it more, Savannah, what do you have for self-care?
So learn a new skill or hobby. It goes right along with what we're talking about.
Perfect. And I like that too, because you don't know if you like it until you try it. Some things
Exactly.
I've tried, I thought I'd like and I hate it, and vice versa. So yes, definitely. And Cassandra, what mindfulness can you leave us with?
So, a little daily mindfulness technique that you can do is called grounding with your five senses. And I think that goes into what we are talking about, because when you are truly present and in the moment in what you love doing, and or even if you're trying to find your passion outside of work and school and everything else in life, if you just take a moment to like stop and smell the roses, it's a whole lot more satisfying at the end. So while you are practicing your hobbies, your newfound hobbies that Savannah told you have to do, I want you to take a moment and look at 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. If you're doing food, that'd be really easy. If you're sweating, might be kind of gross. So maybe don't do the tasting thing if you're working out. However, just be mindful and be present in the moment. And we would love to hear in the comments on our Instagram and Facebook.
Absolutely. And that is an excellent technique. Cass, I'm sure, has known that technique for years and years and years, but it was new to me this year. And it is great, great mindfulness, great anxiety reducer. So definitely try it out. And thank you for sticking with us for another great conversation. We hope everyone has an amazing week, and we will see everybody next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Shout out to Cass's mom with her. What did you say, Cass? Your emotional maturity. I'm so proud of you, mom. Look at that. The out Supreme.